Hey there guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 20. We are available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, iTunes, and many more. Today, we're going to talk about the general news, then we're going to get into the update on Spider-Man within the MCU, then the PlayStation State of Play that happened this past week, and then our recent activities. So, Damian, go first.
Yeah, so apparently, PlayStation has rebranded, I guess, the X button. It's called the cross button now. So yeah, I kind of don't like it. I mean, it's just easier to say X than like cross. Like no one's gonna say cross.
Yeah, but like the point is that like they're all shapes or whatever. You know, triangle, circle.
I guess,
square,
but it's like
and then cross. But like, yeah, it's weird.
This is cross. I'm like, no, that's an X, dude.
It's because people have been saying it for so long as the X button, and they just like recently came out. Like, yeah, it's called the cross button in the beginning of September, and I'm just like, wait, what? And that was just a funny Twitter mess in and of itself. But I mean, like personally, it's whatever. People are still gonna call it X because I could have sworn when I play like the Sly Cooper games, they're like, hit the X button and do this. And I'm like,
yeah, they always say the X button. So
they never said cross.
Yeah,
so.
No one said cross.
But hey, I guess some people are gonna start saying cross, but. If you do, you're kind of weird, not gonna lie, but call it what you want. It's whatever to me. I'm just making jokes.
Yeah, it's 2019. You can be whatever you want.
True. All right, Haley Steinfeld is to play Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series. So I am a fan of her acting work. She was pretty good in The Edge of 17. The Bumblebee movie that happened, I believe, was it this year or last year or something like that?
I thought it was last year.
Yeah, it was probably last year. She was decent in it, for what the movie was when that it's going to be like a, like fish out of water sort of movie. And her music stuff isn't that bad either. It's like pretty good pop, I would say. But, if she is going to be the Kate Bishop of the MCU, I would not mind that because she is a pretty good actress and I would not mind seeing her in that role.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying all that, then I'll agree because I don't know who she is. But yeah, I mean, if they gain like good actors for these Disney Plus series, then that's all good. Because I'm still curious to see how these even turn out. So that's gonna be interesting when they finally do. So we could talk about it. But as of right now, it's just more people just signing up there and all that stuff. So
yeah, trying to get good actors in these things. So.
All right, so now there's a lot of PlayStation news today. So the PS5 will consume less power in an effort to combat climate change. So that's nice. The PS3, because I have my PS3 right here. I was playing, last year I was playing all the Ratchet and Clanks, and that thing just sounds like a jet engine. Even the base PS4 could sound like a jet engine when I'm like playing something. I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I don't know if that's like. All that power it's using or whatever. But, if they can make it use less power, then that's pretty much good for everyone. Even to like, less electric money, So, yeah.
My thing with this was that, like, there were actually people in, like, the replies of this article on, like, Twitter that are like, guess I'm getting Xbox, guess I'm going PC next gen. I'm like, y'all are, like,
why,
really dumb.
I don't know why people
I have no idea.
are so against, like, combating climate. Like,
I think it's because, like, politics are involved or whatever the fuck, but, like, if the politics are, like, from right and wrong, like... Just pick the right side, you idiot,
Yeah, I just don't get why this is like such a like a political thing. Like it's like, I mean, all right, that's not what this show is about, but I'm just saying, why is climate change like such a political thing? It's not. Like it's just a thing we all have to solve together, but I guess not. And Sony doing this.
It's not a goddamn conspiracy, all right, guys. Come on.
But anyway, I mean, it's good for everyone if the PS5 is going to use less power, because again, that means like it's using less electricity, so that's that's good for everyone. So
yeah, and it won't sound like a jet engine when you're playing.
Yeah, hopefully it won't sound like super loud when you're like playing something, but I guess we're just gonna wait and see until we actually see the PS5.
All right, so we're just blazing through these. Mario Kart Tour. I just discovered this today. They have a $4.99 monthly subscription fee on it, like if you want to like pay for it. Obviously the game's free to play, but they have this paywall for like certain things. So like you'll get like these gifts, you'll get like these gold badges, and then you'll unlock a whole other mode, which is 200cc. So I guess I'll talk about the game now.
Okay.
But I played like 2 races.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, the game feels like ass. Like, no joke.
I would imagine.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
So, in concept where it's like, oh, okay, you just touch left and right and you go left or right, right? But, like, there's, like, this one control scheme where, like, you press it left and then it drifts left. And then when you press it right, it also drifts right. So, like, that's the thing I was using.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, there's another control scheme where you could like turn on gyro controls to like actually turn, and then you press the screen to like drift. That felt even worse. I don't know how that was possible, but overall the game just felt really weird to control. I've only played 2 races. I got first in both of them, not bragging, but
there you go.
yeah, like it just felt like super weird and awkward to control. Now 200cc, oh my god, everyone's gonna be bumping into walls. No one's gonna finish.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's $5 a month to get all that stuff seems a little fishy.
Yeah, and on top of the $5 to get like new characters and stuff, you have to do the gacha stuff. You know, it's like Fire Emblem where you pay money and then you like summon a dude. Yeah, it's the same thing over here. So it has like a subscription model and a gacha system. Like that's too much for one game, man. Like
Yep.
like it, and you know it's sad because I thought Nintendo was doing pretty well with their mobile stuff. You know, what was it, Tamagotchi Life or Tamagotchi Life, whatever it was called? Like that was like whatever.
Yeah.
whatever that game was, Mitomo, whatever. I can't remember what it was called.
Yep, those games pretty much.
Yeah, but and Mario Run,
I think it was Mitomo, but yeah.
Yeah. So then Mario Run, you know, it was a little pricey. It was like $10 for a runner, but you know, it was still pretty good quality. I still think Fire Emblem is like probably the best one because you know, to give you a bunch of orbs for free all the time, and I have like a bunch of 5 stars without putting like a dime in that game, even though I don't play it that much. Like, you know, they still give you a bunch of like freebies, so that game doesn't feel too scummy. But I heard the Dr. Mario one wasn't that great with its like microtransactions either, and now Mario Kart's pretty bad.
Oh wait, that one came out? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And then I don't know how the Animal Crossing one was in terms of microtransactions.
It was okay. It's just that at a certain point it was just like, all right, this is getting way too grindy to like progress, and I kind of have to pay money to do things.
Right. So yeah, so I guess this is like the ultimate scum. Like it's kind of sad to see them drop this far. So, you know, if you want to play Mario Kart on the go, just get Mario Kart 8 with a Switch. So
true.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this game I was like, man, like are they actually gonna pull it off? And then I was like, these controls suck, like so bad. It just did not feel right.
When mobile stuff, and I think I said this last time we talked about it. I was like, you know, the controls might suck. I don't know how they're gonna do that, and I was right. I don't know. I just feel like in mobile games, like you can't do controls well. Like unless it's like a RTS or like a turn-based thing, like Fire Emblem or whatever. It feels fine because you know you're not really doing anything, you're just like tapping on stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's anything that requires more action than just like tapping and stuff, it just feels like garbage. So.
Yeah, it's also Nintendo's like philosophy when it comes to like their mobile games is that like they want you to play with one hand. So like if this game was sideways and you were able to, you know, use or like they had like those like nipple sticks or whatever on like the screen or whatever people call them, I think that would have been a lot better. But they have like this philosophy where it's like you can play with one hand, but I'm like that's not good for the game if like it's gonna control like ass. So
yeah, I got that for Fire Emblem, but with Mario Kart,
yeah, but yeah, $5 a month for like these like little things, and then the whole gacha thing. Like I think I have Toadette and Peach as like my characters, and I'm like, all right, those are like cool characters, but like I'm not really, you know, all that excited about them when I'm like picking them, but. It is what it is. People will probably still play it. I know every single time Nintendo drops one of their mobile apps, except for Dr. Mario, there's always like a news article that's like, yo, this thing got like millions of like downloads or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean. So,
I guess Dr. Mario Shadow dropped, or maybe it's not out yet. I'm not sure, but
I thought it came out. Who cares about Dr. Mario?
Anyways, $5 a month for these like tiny things. It's really dumb.
Yeah, like it's not worth it. Don't just buy Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
All right, so we got more news about the Disney, Sony, Spider-Man stuff. So, apparently they're just saying, oh, Joe Russo's like a terrible mistake on Sony's part. Even though I think, we still all know that I'm pretty sure that it was Disney's fault that this kind of happened. Anyway, I mean, the full quote is, I think it's a tragic mistake on Sony's part to think that they could replicate Kevin's... What's that?
Wait, what is it? Pencant? Whatever.
That's a weird word.
His way of, like, telling stories, pretty much.
Yeah. And, but apparently they worked out a deal. So now Tom Holland can have one more solo film and another, MCU appearance. So he's not dead yet, but he's going to soon. So they just kind of extended it. So, again, I was just talking to Travis before this, and I was just saying... they should probably, wrap up whatever the story that we're going to do at the end of Far From Home and probably just, kill him off. I don't know. They have to do something, drastic because, now they know that they're not probably going to get any more, deals with Sony. I'm pretty sure this might be, the final one. They were just all right, fine. We do this, you got one more film and then one more, cameo, and that's it. So, I feel like they might try to, just wrap him up so Sony can't use Tom Holland. I don't know if they actually can or not, but it's still a mess. But yeah.
So the first part about Joe Russo and his view on it, I'm just bro, come on. Do you even read the articles that were floating around? It's kind of obviously we've talked about this before. It's kind of both companies' fault, but Disney's definitely the much more greedier side of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because he still wants to work with Marvel in a way, and still wants to maybe to potentially direct other films with them, which is why he kind of did that answer of siding with Disney over Sony. But it is what it is. But with Spider-Man being in the MCU still, that gets me excited because the ending of Far From Home was kind of just oh, okay, now what are they going to do? Because this is kind of a Spider-Man story we haven't seen on the big screen yet where everyone knows who he is. Yeah. It's obviously been done in the comics before, but in terms of the big screen, that'll be very interesting to see exactly how that plays out. And then the one MCU film appearance, I'm pretty sure it's going to be whatever next Avenger film that's going to come out. So that will be very interesting. And this new deal that they came up with, pretty much Disney gets 25% of all profits from the movie, and they will be also co-financing it 25% as well, a quarter.
Okay.
So, but for Disney's end, Spider-Man will be featured in one more MCU movie. And the film is scheduled for July 16th, 2021. So we are definitely a long ways away from another Spider-Man movie, which is completely fine by me. Just so we could have time for all these other characters and also the Disney Plus shows to take in and stuff like that. So obviously people that have been they're probably gonna come to a deal, but it was looking a little grim for a while because I was kind of all right, I guess we're gonna get Spider-Man movies outside of the MCU and see exactly on how that plays out, But now that he's back in the MCU again, it's definitely gonna be very interesting to see where they take that whole Far From Home ending and see where it goes.
Yeah, again, I'm just glad that it could actually hopefully end that big plot point at the end of Far From Home because I was really interested to see what would happen and this whole thing happened. So and it's also cool he's gonna get one more MCU appearance. I just hope they wrap Spider-Man up. So because if Sony's gonna do their own Spider-Man, I'd rather them just get a new actor and stuff because Tom Holland's the MCU Spider-Man now. You can't just take him do another Spider-Man. It'd be weird. So yeah.
Feige in his statement also said he also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spidey universe, you never know what surprises the future might hold.
That's true.
So that might be very interesting to see exactly where that goes, or maybe he's just teasing us and messing around. But yeah, I mean, say what you will about the MCU Spider-Man. Personally, I'm not that big of a fan of the way that they portray Spider-Man in this cinematic universe, but with what the cards they were dealt at the time that they were able to use Spider-Man, I think they did a pretty good job of it. So
yeah, I mean, I still anything's better than Amazing Spider-Man. So
But what about Peter's parents? Anyways,
Alright.
so the PlayStation State of Play. Before we get into the very few amount of games that they announced, overall, the State of Plays have definitely been disappointing, to say the least. Because, like, all right, they kind of, like, talk about, like, one big thing or, like, a bunch of little things when they do these sort of events.
Yeah.
And it kind of, like, defeats the purpose of, like, building all this hype if you're just going to do all these small things or, like, just one big thing, you know? So I could see why a lot of people were like, this sucked. But, you know, I didn't watch it live, but when I watched it afterwards, I already knew what, like, happened with The Last of Us Part 2, but I was like, all right, yeah, there's kind of just, like, 25 minutes of, like, a whole lot of whatever until the end.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. And I think to anyone saying, like, oh, Sony's probably going to do what Nintendo did, you know, when they first started the State of Play, people thought that, you know, oh, they're just going to do what Nintendo does now and just do directs. But I genuinely think that they didn't go to E3 because they didn't have anything. And all these States of Play are really, like, yeah, we really didn't have anything. So it really makes me think that they are going to be back in E3 after they release Last of Us, like all the games they've already shown. Until the PS5 comes out, because yeah, they have nothing. Like, all these States of Play have been basically nothing. So it really does like reinforce what I already thought, where it was like, okay, they just didn't have anything. That's why they didn't show up to E3 this year or this year. So but and another point is, you know, usually with Nintendo Directs, they start with like a big opener usually, and then end with a big surprise too. With this State of Play, we kind of already knew Last of Us was going to be in it. Everyone was just waiting for it. Like, all right, it was Last of Us 2. It's not like with a Nintendo Direct where it's like, oh, here's something you just didn't expect out of nowhere, and then everyone gets all hype. Like, they don't have any of that. So, yeah.
I mean, unless you were looking forward to the Death Stranding limited edition PS4 Pro.
No, it's just a PS4 with handprints on it. Like, cool.
I know, right? But, you know, if you're super excited for that game, or you didn't have a PS4 and you wanted to play the game, that's your way to buy it, I guess. But, I mean, everything else that they talked about, other than The Last of Us Part 2, which we'll get to at the end. Medieval, LA Noire VR, Arise, A Simple Story, Watam, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Humanity. I mean, like, all of those games were kind of just like, eh. I did download the Medieval demo. I haven't played it yet, but I am excited for that game just because it's a PS1 remake, and it's also going to be $30, which you may say is pricey just for one PS1 game, but the game looks really good.
Hey, I mean, it's not as bad as Link's Awakening. That's $60 for a Game Boy game.
That is very true, which I will talk about later. But, you know, LA Noire, VR, whatever, and pretty much everything else was kind of whatever. The Humanity game, which they opened up with, I was kind of like, what is going on? And, like, even when you go on the website, it's kind of like very vague. Like, you could look at the press kit and it opens up a Google Drive thing, and when you read the press kit, it's kind of like super vague. Like, they say that they're going to show gameplay next year leading up to the launch, which I'm like, why would you do that? So yeah, it's like it's definitely like a concept game, but it's at the same time very weird.
I didn't really get. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like sort of like artsy fartsy indie games that much. Like, I love indie games like a lot, but when it goes like something like that, I'm just like, all right, I get it. Like, I don't know. Like, usually, and I feel like Sony is usually like the bigger offender to that. Like, I feel like most of the indie games they usually show are kind of more like high art than like an actual game, so they usually don't interest me that much. And yeah, I mean, again, like the only game that really interests is like, you know, besides like I guess Last of Us, even though I never played Last of Us, you know, so like it's a big game. Was also Medieval, because, you know, I knew that's a PS1 remake. I'm like, oh, that looks really cool, so I'll probably get that at some point. But everything else was kind of like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so The Last of Us Part 2, we finally have a date. And I think the reason why Neil Druckmann and the team at Naughty Dog were holding out so much on the date and like details in general was because they didn't want to say something without being like 100% certain. Because there have been so many games that get like delayed or like details change and this and that they kind of just were like, all right, we want to make sure that this is concrete before we say anything. So the fact that it's coming out February 21st, 2020 was a hell of a lot sooner than I expected, honestly.
I mean, this game's been getting... It got teased like twice already in E3, or was it once? I can't remember.
It got teased at E3 or Gamescom, something like that. It was a while ago they first showed the game off. Yeah, it was when
they were in the tent. So yeah, that was 2 years ago, right? At the E3 when they were like playing instruments. I remember that one.
Something like that.
All right, so yeah, again, I don't play Last of Us. I didn't play the first one. I probably should. So this didn't really mean too much to me. I know people got really excited about certain things, or maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, I guess you could talk about it since you know more of what's going on.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, this is like when it comes to like my favorite games from like this past generation, from like Xbox/PS3 till now. The Last of Us, the first game, is like by far like top 5, maybe even like top 2 or something like that. Like the way that this game blends storytelling and gameplay was like really well done, and the story that it told was really, really good. And the fact that they were making a follow-up to it got me very excited, which I believe they first announced it at like one of their PSX events in 2016, just from looking at some YouTube videos here. But yeah, I mean, we finally have a date. We have some also very cool special editions and whatnot. I definitely tried to shell out for the Ellie edition, but that shit sold out everywhere, despite it being $230 for a backpack and a vinyl and some other things. But I was just like, all right, I guess I'll settle for the collector's edition, which is just the statue and all this other stuff. But I mean, yeah, I'm very, very excited for this game. And I haven't been this excited for a game. And I was like thinking about this yesterday at work when I was talking to some of my coworkers, since like Spider-Man PS4, honestly. And like that game came out last year. So, you know, it's been a while since I've actually been like really hyped and excited for a game. And now that this game's coming out kind of soon, gets me very excited for it. And I cannot wait to go and finally play it. And the next detail that came out afterwards is that The Last of Us Part 2 will not have multiplayer. Mm-hmm. So I can talk about this for a little bit. I can't talk about this a whole lot because I didn't play the multiplayer in The Last of Us all that much.
I didn't even know there was multiplayer in the first
one. Yeah, like a lot of people definitely forget, like, oh yeah, the first Last of Us had multiplayer. But I definitely dabbled into it on the PS3. And it was pretty fun, I'm not going to lie. For, like, what the Last of Us game was and the way that they were able to do the multiplayer, which I believe they called it the factions or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was done really well. I really enjoyed it on the PS3. I never played it on the PS4 because I'm not buying PlayStation Plus for that. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that people still play that multiplayer regularly just for, like, fun. And it is very cool that, you know, that they were able to create a multiplayer out of this game's very unique way of gameplay. So it does suck that they don't have a multiplayer mode for part 2, but that just means that the entire team was just focused on the single player. And supposedly the game's on 2 discs, so yeah, that is kind of nuts, honestly. So yeah, I am just very excited for this game just because it's coming out kind of soon. And yeah, so you should definitely check it out, Damian, because the game is just hella cheap now. I think I told you the entire story one time.
I know the whole story, but like I still like it doesn't really bother me. Like I'll probably just it is not gonna bother me that much. I do want to play it. So,
but it definitely is like different when you like obviously like first experience it and don't know the story. But I think you'll still like enjoy the game to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean I have been pretty bad with keeping up with Naughty Dog, to be honest. Like, you know, after Jack and Daxter, when Uncharted and stuff came out, like I played a little bit of Uncharted 1. I played the multiplayer of Uncharted 2, which was really fun actually.
Yep.
But after that, I kind of just drop off Naughty Dog. So I should probably play through all the Uncharted games and Last of Us at some point. Probably Last of Us, you know, before it actually comes out, so I can actually like you know talk about it. But yeah, no, yeah, I mean it looks great just from all the things they've been showing us. So. I'm sure it's going to be a really great game, and there's just so many games coming out 2020 it's insane. So yeah, that's another big boy coming out.
The hype levels for this game now are now just like insane because, you know, they were definitely very scarce with details, which is fine. And some people thought that the trailer that they showed off for like the release date showed and told a lot. Mm-hmm. Personally, I think it showed and told us just enough, just to, like get us interested. But some people, including one of my coworkers, was a little upset that like, hey, I kind of like know how the game's gonna play out now. I'm like, do you though? Like, you know, it could just be like, you know, them throwing a curveball at you, but we won't know everything until the game finally comes out and what the story actually is, because there's definitely a lot of things that we still don't know 100% in terms of the story. So very excited still. Okay, so let's talk about recent activities. I'll let you go first because I got a whole lot on my plate.
Yeah, so I played Astral Chain, which is the new Platinum game for the Nintendo Switch. And, ever since they first showed it during, I think this E3, it came out really fast. They showed it off and then it was out. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, it's a brand new Platinum game, and it's fantastic. It plays a lot more like Bayonetta. Actually, no, it's like a weird mix of Bayonetta and Nier, where you know how Bayonetta plays, a bunch of crazy action going on all the time. But it also has a bunch of RPG stuff from Nier and a lot more slower moments where they do world building and all that crap, and you have quests and like skill trees and stuff. And I think it blends both of them together really well, because my major problem with Nier was the combat was just not as good as all the other Platinum games, where the combat feels good at first, but it's not going to compare anything to Bayonetta, where you're doing a bunch of crazy combos and stuff. And Bayonetta, I think that more so with Bayonetta 2 was it was very short. I felt like it probably could have been a few more levels longer. So I guess this one kind of just feels like a good little mix of both of them together, where the combat's all crazy. You have your person, you do combos and stuff how you normally would. But then you have this thing called a Legion, which is your little persona looking guy. So he could also attack for you, but you could also direct him to do stuff. So you could target him on an enemy while you're attacking another enemy, or you could both be attacking the same person. And you could also use the actual astral chain, and with the right stick, you could make your guy move around a target, and then tie him up with your chain and stuff. You can do a bunch of crazy crap like that, and it's really fun to experiment with all the different. You actually get multiple different types of legions. You get 5 of them, and they all feel very distinct. You have your sword one, you have one that has a bow, so that's good for anti-air and stuff like that. You have more heavy hitting ones and defensive ones. You can just do a bunch of crazy stuff, and I love it. The combat was definitely fantastic. I think the issue a lot of people are having with the game is the slower moments. The levels are very long. There was one mission that took me 3 hours, because a lot of it was downtime. Since you are the whole theme is you're a cop and stuff. So usually a beginning of the level starts with an investigation where you're you talk to people and you do all that crap, stuff you would expect from a cop to do. And, I know some people didn't like that because, this is a Platinum game. I should be, killing stuff all the time. And I do agree to an extent. I feel there might be some levels that have a little too much downtime. And I felt especially towards the beginning of the game, I feel the beginning of the game definitely could have used a little more action than setup. But once you get past, Chapter 3, when you get, your full moveset, I think the game starts moving pretty quick. But, yeah, that's basically the main concern a lot of people had was, there's too much downtime, too much RPG type stuff. They just want to do the Platinum combat, and I agree to an extent. But I think the way they fused it together in this game was pretty good. And since the game sold really well, and Platinum said we would do a trilogy of these games if it did well, it's pretty safe to say that a second one is gonna happen. And hopefully it's Bayonetta 1 to 2, where 2 is just even better than 1. So yeah, that's basically what I'm hoping for. And it also ran really well for the Switch. There was only one
No frame drops?
Yeah, well, during one area gets really bad, but you're not really doing any combat, so you don't really notice it. It's not that bad. It's bad, but you're not fighting, so it doesn't really matter. All the combat sequences, I never had a frame drop, but I don't know what the frame rate was. I think it's 30. There's no way it's 60, but anyway, it's a really smooth 30. You don't really notice it, and it feels great to fight. I didn't notice any big frame drops. The game looks really good for a Switch game. And yeah, it's just it was impressive. I remember seeing the E3 trailer. I'm this is on the Switch, and yeah, it's on the Switch. It runs really well. So yeah, so basically another great Platinum game. If you like Bayonetta and stuff, you'll probably like it. The slower moments might be a little hard to go through, but I think it's worth it because the combat's so fun in this game. So next, I've been playing Monster Hunter World again. The new expansion came out, which I do not have yet because when I played the game 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago when it came out, I didn't actually beat the game. I beat the first half of it. I'm okay, I'll come back to do the harder stuff later, and then I didn't. So now I went back to do it because I heard the expansion Iceborne is very good. So I'm okay, it is a good time to jump back into it. So I did, and yeah, the Monster Hunter World is fantastic. But between that break time, for me, stop playing Monster Hunter World, I picked up Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, which I talked about a while ago. But basically, like, going back to this game, it just has so many quality of life improvements. Like, the skill system isn't dumb. Like, obviously the game looks fantastic. And a bunch of other really nice quality of life improvements that the earlier Monster Hunter games just don't have. And it makes sense why this is probably the most successful one that ever came out. I love Monster Hunter, but World is just very good. And yeah, it's just a great game. You go hunt monsters, you get stuff, and I highly recommend it to anyone. Like, it's a great just game. You just beat up monsters. Like, if you like a lot of boss fights and loot, then it's perfect for you. I really like it. And yeah, that's about all I've been doing, really.
All right. So now I got my shit. So I've been watching Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter. I actually haven't watched it in like a week or two, but it's really good still. I'm on the arc where they're in that like hotel or whatever the hell where they have to go up the levels. And yeah, I actually Verve like crashed on me at one point, and I was like, this shit's on Netflix, right? So then I tried to watch the dub, and I was like, I can't, I'm sorry. And then Verve started working again. I was like, all right, yes, sub. I think it's just however you watch it, or like how you watch it at first. It's kind of hard to like switch between the two, unless you actually just don't care. But personally, I was just kind of like, I can't. But yeah, the show's still really, really, really good. I just need to, get to the end eventually. I saw it chapter 2. That movie is 3 hours long, which is super. That is super long for a horror movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's definitely like its flaw, because the whole second act, and like when you watch the movie, you may not notice it at first, but like I saw it twice. The second act is just such a drag. Like, it's just not really that exciting or like that scary to watch. And the whole like 3 hour thing, like just going into it, I was just like, this is gonna be 3 hours, and like I can't fathom that I'm about to watch a 3 hour horror movie. But yeah, it's too long, and the second act pretty much drags the movie down. The first It movie is still really good, obviously, but the second one, just know that it's 3 hours long, and the middle of the movie might be a little rough. I rewatched Kick-Ass 2 because why not? Kick-Ass 1 and Kick-Ass 2 are definitely both different movies in a way, because Kick-Ass 2 deals with like Hit Girl going to like high school and all of this other stuff. So there's that element there, and like several other things going on there. But I'm not sure if we're ever gonna get a Kick-Ass 3 because it's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I still like both movies kind of equally. But if I had to pick one, I would say the first one, just because it was one of the first rated R superhero movies, I would say. And it did a pretty good job at it. I played the Modern Warfare beta weekend. I was very surprised that I actually had fun playing a Call of Duty game again. I think it's because I just didn't care exactly in terms of like how well I was doing. But yeah, it was just super fun. They changed the maps around, so the way the maps worked, from my understanding, is that it was like 3 lanes. So like the left side of the map, the right side of the map, and then the middle. Now the maps are like more open, so like you could get shot from behind a lot more, and like some people are getting really annoyed by that. So I don't know exactly if like there's gonna be like the traditional 3-lane maps as well, because in the beta weekend it was mostly like open maps, and like you kind of got shot from everywhere, and I was just like, I'm dead, or whatever. But I had fun playing it. Will I pick it up at launch? I'm not sure. Maybe if the money's right, and maybe if I have a couple of other friends playing it. I've been playing Link's Awakening on the Switch. This is a $60 HD remake of a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
But I really like 2D Zelda.
Yeah,
like
really good.
I like 2D Zelda a lot more than 3D Zelda, mainly because the 2D Zelda games, I think, are a lot more fun for me personally. Also, they're a lot shorter than the 3D Zelda games. Like, most of the 3D Zelda games are plus 20 hours long. For example, Breath of the Wild. If you go on howlongtobeat.com, which tells you how long it takes to beat a video game, on average, it's like 49 hours to beat Breath of the Wild, which is kind of crazy. But for Link's Awakening, it's like 12 hours or something like that. So I'm having fun with it. I am enjoying my time with it. And then Mario Kart Tour, which I already talked about. Don't play that game for extended periods of time because you will get frustrated by the controls. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been doing within the past like 3 weeks or so. Is there anything else you would like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's it.
All right. So thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast once again, and we will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.